Hello viewers, welcome back. It's 11:40 p.m. 24th of March 2026. As you can see, welcome back to another video. Mm, I hope you are all well and doing good. And let's start today's read without wasting any further time because it's gotten late and I have to get up early tomorrow because I am trying to make a habit to get up early. Yeah, let me set up the timer. We'll set up the timer for 21 minutes. And we'll start from where we left off yesterday. We left at page number 143. We have to start from how long does it actually take to start a new habit. I'm trying to get the thumbnail in, guys. Please wait for a while. Yeah, that's it. We'll start the timer. Let's go. How long does it actually take to form a new habit? Habit formation is the process by which a behavior becomes progressively more automatic through repetition. The more you repeat an activity, the more the structure of your brain changes to become efficient at that activity. Neuroscientists call this long-term potentiation. Long-term potentiation, which refers to the strengthening of connections between neurons in the brain based on recent pattern of activity. Based on the recent pattern of activity. With each repetition, cell-to-cell signaling improves, the neural connections tighten. What? Cell-to-cell connection signaling improves and the neural connections tighten. First described by neuropsychologist Donald Hebb in 1949, this phenomenon is commonly known as Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together wire together. It's interesting. First of all, it's like the first interesting fact I noticed was the scientist Donald Hebb researched on all this and created a theory in 1949. Our country was our country gained independence in 1947, but that was our lowest, and our country started to build up from there again. Before the invasion of other intruders, I don't want to name any, our country was very well doing, and it was, I think, the best at that time. So there's that. It's not like they destroyed us. They cannot destroy us. They couldn't destroy us. We're still here. We're still growing, and I think we'll still reach the place we want to be. Yeah. Repeating a habit leads to clear physical changes in the brain. In musicians, the cerebellum. In musician, the cerebellum, critical for physical movements like plucking a guitar string or pulling a violin bow, is larger than it is in non-musicians. Mathematicians, meanwhile, have increased gray matter in the inferior palatal lobule, parietal lobule, which plays a key role in computation and calculation. Its size is directly correlated with the amount of time spent in the field. The older, the more experienced the mathematician, the greater the increase in gray matter. The more experienced the mathematician, the greater the increase in gray matter. When scientists analyzed the brain of taxi drivers in London, they found that the hippocampus, a region of brain involved in spatial memory, was significantly larger in the subjects than in non-taxi drivers. Even more fascinating, the hippocampus decreased in size when a driver retired, like the muscles of the body responding to a regular weight training. Particular regions of brain adapt as they are used, and atrophy are atrophy used and atrophy. Yeah, it must be atrophy. And atrophy, hypertrophy, trophy, atrophy, and trophy as they are abandoned. Trophy as they are abandoned. Trophy, hypertrophy. Let me search it up. It will take 2 minutes, guys. Atrophy, yeah. It's it means losing or wasting a part, body tissue or any other thing. Wasting or losing. Hypertrophy, atrophy. Okay. Use and atrophy as they are abandoned. Of course, the importance of repetition is establishing habits first. Importance of repetition in establishing habits was recognized long before neuroscientists began poking around. In 1980s, the English philosopher George H. Lewis noted, in learning to speak a new language, to play a musical instrument, or to perform a unaccustomed movement, or to perform unaccustomed movements, great difficulty is felt, because the channels through which each sensation has to pass have not become established. But no sooner established, but no sooner has frequency repetition cut a pathway. Repetition cut a pathway that is than this difficulty vanishes. Bro, I'm reading so bad. Frequently, but no sooner has frequent repetition cut a pathway than this difficulty vanishes. Then this difficulty vanishes. The action becomes so automatic that they can be performed while the mind is otherwise engaged. Both common sense and scientific evidence agree. Repetition is a form of change. Each time you repeat an action, you are activating a particular neural circuit associated with that habit. This means This means that simply putting in your reps is one of the most critical steps you can take to encoding a new habit. It is why the students who took tons of photos improved their skills, while others, while those who merely theorized about perfect photos did not. One group engaged in active practice, the other in passive learning. One in action, the other in motion. All habits follow a similar trajectory from errorful practice to automatic behavior, a process known as automaticity. Automaticity. Automaticity is the ability to perform behavior without thinking about each rep, which occurs while the non-conscious mind takes over. It looks something like this: the habit line, repetition, automaticity. With repetitions, the automaticity increases, if not linearly, very close to linear, and there is a habit line which it crosses. at some point, and then it's very automatic. Like, you don't even have to think about it, and then it plateaus towards the habit line. You can see. Hope you can see. Yeah. On the following page, you will see what it looks like when researchers track the level of automaticity for an actual habit like walking for 10 minutes every day. Like walking for 10 minutes every day. The shape of these charts, which scientists call learning curves, reveals an important truth about behavior change. Habits form based on frequency, not time. Walking 10 minutes per day. Hmm. One of the most common questions I hear is, how long does it take to build a new habit? But what people really should be asking is, how many times does it take to form a new habit? This is how many repetitions are required. That is how many repetitions are required to make a habit automatic. This is not magical. There is nothing magical about time passing with regard to habit formation. It doesn't matter if it has been 21 days or 30 days or 300 days. What matters is the rate at which you perform your behavior. You could do the same, you could do something twice in 30 days or 200 times. The frequency that makes the difference. It's the frequency that makes the difference. You could do something twice in 30 days or 200 times. It's the frequency that matters, makes the difference. Your current habits have been internalized over the course of hundreds, if not thousands of repetitions. New habits require the same level of frequency. You need to string together enough successful attempts until the behavior is firmly embedded into your mind and you cross the habit line. In practice, it doesn't really matter how long it takes for a habit to become automatic. What matters is how you take the action you need to take to make progress. Whether an action is fully automatic is of less important. What matters is that you take the actions you need to take to make progress. It's a good line. To build a habit, you need to practice it, and the most effective way to make practice happen is to adhere to the third law of behavior change, make it easy. These chapters that follow will show you how to do exactly that. Chapter summary. The third law of behavior change is make it easy. Behavior change is make it easy. The most effective form of learning is practice, not planning. Focus on taking action, not being in motion. Habit formation is the process by which behavior becomes progressively more automatic through repetition. The amount of time you have been performing a habit is not as important as the number of times you have performed it. The amount of time you have been performing a habit is not as important as the number of times you have performed it. Amount of time doesn't matter, number of time does. And in continuation, not like you did it today, then you did 2 months after. It does matter, but it won't last long because you haven't even practiced it. It's not your habit. The law of least effort. The law of least effort. In this award-winning book, Guns, Germs and Steel, anthropologist and biologist Jared Diamond points out a simple fact. Different continents have different shapes. At first glance, the statements seem rather obvious and unimportant, but it turns out to have a profound impact on human behavior. The primary axis of the Americans runs from north to south, that is, the landmass of North and South America tends to. What? The primary axis of Americans runs from north to south, that is, the landmass of North and South America tends to be tall and thin rather than Wide and fat. The same is generally true for Africa. Meanwhile, the landmass that makes up Europe, Asia, and Middle East is the opposite. The massive stretch of land tends to be more east-west in shape. According to Diamond, this difference in shape played a significant role in the spread of agriculture over the centuries. When agriculture began to spread around the globe, farmers had an easier time expanding along east-west routes than along north-south ones. This is because locations along the same latitude generally share similar climates, amount of sunlight and rainfall, and changes in season. These factors allowed farmers in Europe and Asia to domesticate a few crops and grow them along the entire stretch of land from France to China. From France to China. But by comparison, the climate varies greatly when traveling from north to south. Just imagine how different the weather is in Florida compared to Canada. You can be the most talented farmer in the world, but it won't help you to grow Florida oranges in the Canadian winter. Snow is a poor substitute for soil. In order to spread crops along north-south routes, farmer would need to find and domesticate new plants whenever the climate changed. As a result, agriculture spread 2 to 3 times faster across Asia and Europe than it did up and down the Americas. The Americas. Over the span of centuries, the small difference had a very big impact. Increased food production allowed for more rapid population growth. With more people, these cultures were able to build stronger armies and were better equipped to develop new technologies. The changes started out small, a crop that spread slightly farther, a population that grew slightly faster, but compounded into substantial differences over time. Bro, that's such a great concept. I'm so fascinated by it. Like, why did the Asians were more developed than the Americans in the earlier stages? Later on, the invasions and the other stuff happened, but mainly, what was the reason for the underdeveloped American nations? And they were mostly tribals, right? And the overdeveloped Asians. What was the reason behind it? It's a very good theory. The spread of agriculture provides an example of the third law of behavior change on global scale. Convention wisdom holds that motivation is the key to habit change. Conventional wisdom holds that motivation is the key to habit change. Maybe if you really wanted it, you'd actually do it. But the truth is, our real motivation is to be lazy and to do what is convenient. And despite what the latest productivity bestseller will tell you, this is a smart strategy, not a dumb one. But is to be real motivation is to be lazy and to do what is convenient. And despite what the latest productivity bestseller will tell you, this is the smart strategy, not a dumb one. This is a smart strategy, not a dumb one. Energy is precious, and the brain is wired to conserve it whenever possible. It is human nature to follow the law of least effort, which states that when deciding between two similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. For example, expanding your farm to east where you can grow the same crop rather than heading north where the climate is different. Out of all the four possible actions, we would take the one that is realized that is realized that is realized possible action we would take. The one that is realized is the one that delivers the most value for the least effort. We are motivated to do what is easy. So am I doing the easy thing right now, or is it bad to do easy thing? Every action requires a certain amount of energy. The more energy required, the less likely it is to occur. If your if your goal is to do 100 push-ups per day, that's a lot of energy. In the beginning, when you are motivated and excited, you can muster the strength to get started. But after a few days, such a massive effort required feels exhausting. Meanwhile, sticking to the habit of doing one push-up per day requires almost no energy to get started, and the less energy a habit requires, the more likely it is to occur. Look at any behavior that fills up much of your life, and you will see that it can be performed with very low efforts, low levels of motivation. Habits like scrolling on our phones, checking emails, watching television steal so much of our time because they can be performed almost without effort. They are remarkably convenient. In a sense, every habit is just an obstacle to getting what you really want. In a sense, every habit is just an obstacle to getting what you really want. In a sense, every habit is an obstacle to getting what you really want. Dieting is an obstacle to getting fit. Habit is an obstacle to getting what you really want. Meditation is an obstacle to feeling calm. Journaling is an obstacle to thinking clearly. You don't actually want the habit itself. What you really want is the outcome the habit delivers. The greater the obstacle, that is, the more difficult the habit. The more friction there is between you and your desired end state. This is why it is crucial to make your habits so easy that you'll do them even when you don't feel like it. If you can make your good habits even more convenient, you'll be more likely to follow through on them. But what but what about all the moments when we seem to do the opposite? If you are so lazy, then how do you explain people accomplishing hard things like raising a child or starting a business or climbing Mount Everest? Certainly you are capable of doing very hard things. The problem is that some days feel like doing the hard work and some days you feel like giving in. On the tough days it's crucial to have as many things working in your favor as possible so that you can overcome the challenges life naturally throws your way. The less friction you face, the easier it is for your stronger self to emerge. The idea behind making it easy is not to easy things. The idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do the things that pay off in the long run. As easy as possible in the moment to do what? The idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do things that pay off in the long run. In the moment to do the things that pay off in the long run. Okay, so the timer is done, guys. We completed up to page number 153. We have to start from the next topic, how to achieve more with less effort. This is the heading. We'll start from tomorrow. See, today's was also a very good read. I really like the concept of that continents, where how the agriculture grew, population grew, development happened, That was a really nice theory. And that's it, guys. That's it for today. I I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, go find your purpose, guys. It's really important.